On May 2nd, 1960, just after 4 p.m., Mr. Innerst was working in this barn back here. He would hear a plane struggling with his engines cutting in and out. He would come out and look and see the plane narrowly miss his family's house right there with his son and his wife inside. That plane would then crash here in this field.
It's gonna scrape the top of it. And of course, when it fell, it just looked like somebody smashed a toy there.
Wow.
And then, of course, it caught on fire. So.
All right, this is pretty close to the angle that you can see in that newspaper asking if this is the same plane that was into the rear of a park or something in the area. So I'm not sure about any plane, any park, so I'm gonna see if I can try to find that out. All right, so Charlie, what do you remember happening that day?
Well, the day that happened, my mother and I we were in and eating supper, and we heard all this racket. So we come out on the front porch, which we were facing directly south, and then this airplane was coming over, just barely over the trees and barely over there were chicken houses down there at that time. And then as these engines were revving up, I guess they were trying to keep it in the air, it just went over top of the dairy barn down there. It looked like it was going to scrape the top of it. And of course, when it fell, it just looked like somebody smashed a toy there.
Wow.
And then of course it caught on fire.
So do you actually remember, so you came out on the porch up here and you saw this thing in the air. You actually saw it go down?
Yep.
Wow. So what, the dairy barn, is that still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the two big barns were the only thing there. All these other sheds you see are storage hay sheds now.
Okay.
They weren't there, but there were chicken houses back here.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know it was very close to those trees because it was probably back here a quarter of a mile when we saw it coming, and of course then it proceeded over it didn't take long.
So I know Mr. Innerst, who would that have been?
Well, I'm assuming, I didn't see the article for years, but I'm assuming it could have been my uncle.
Okay. He said that he looked up and saw the plane miss his farmhouse by 30 feet. He said his wife and his son were inside that house. So would that have been this house?
No, that would have been the red brick house.
Oh, okay.
Because the airplane was down that way.
I see. So that red one right there?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then. So you came out, did you hear the engines first? Is that what?
Well, yeah, you heard this roar and you had no idea what it was until you saw this plane barely scraping the trees.
So you had a bird's eye view up here on that porch right there?
It's just too bad I didn't have a camera to take a picture.
Yeah, right. Well, in 1960, it would have been some type of film camera, I guess. But so you saw it come in from this side over here?
Correct.
And go straight into the ground? Wow.
Yeah, as it looked like it was going to hit the barn.
Yeah.
And as it went past the barn, it just sort of dropped down.
Okay.
It didn't come sliding in because it wasn't going that fast. I don't know how fast they have to go to stay in the air.
Yeah.
But it didn't take long, and
wow,
down it went.
But you went down there then, you said?
Oh,
was
yeah.
that the same day or?
Well, I went down, plus there were, I'm saying, hundreds of people running down beside the house on both sides.
Yeah.
Because people were at the track up here in Dallastown. Okay. And they saw it up there as it was circling around. Apparently it was looking for a place to sit it down.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
And of course, as they saw this thing going down, they started running. So everybody's running down here to see it.
Well, the article says there was a guy who gave a statement up in Dallastown. This Mr. Smeltzer said he saw it flying over York City, and he saw it actually do 3 loops, trying to, I guess, get its engines back. And it did a couple times, got it back before he finally saw it go down behind into the woods back here, and that was it. But Mr. Innerst said that it seemed like the pilot was actually trying to miss his house, and it actually, he said he thought he kicked on the engines briefly just to get over the house.
It sounded like the engine would rev up,
Okay.
and then I don't know what was wrong with it,
Yeah.
why it was losing altitude, but the engines were running.
Yeah.
So yeah, the engine would rev up, and then it just gradually kept dropping.
Well, you said when it got down there, it just fell.
Yeah, it looked like after it got over the barn, it just flopped down on the ground.
Wow. And it was pretty much just in pieces at that point.
Yeah, like I said, if I would have had a camera, it looked like a toy that just somebody smashed it down, pieces just spread out all over the place.
Jeez.
And then, of course, it caught fire, and then that was it.
It did catch on fire.
Oh,
then.
yeah, a lot of fire.
Wow. Now you said they did actually grow stuff there, but there were some problems growing things there for a
Well,
while?
yeah, for a long time they would, as they went through there with the equipment, the disc or the plow or whatever, they could pick pieces up.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it embedded it into the ground.
Right.
Now they come down there and pick parts up for days,
Okay.
loaded on tractor and trailers.
Huh. Yeah.
So it took quite a few years till something, I mean, stuff would grow there, but you could always see that something was going on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I know the search for pieces went on for 11 days. You said you think somebody nearby might have taken possession of part of the plane.
The story was a guy up on top of the hill here got the back door.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that. I don't know if anybody from the federal people
Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
got it.
Right.
I never saw it, never
Yeah.
heard anything of that. Was just a story,
Interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah.
which could have been possible.
Yeah, right. Well, Charlie, thank you so much. I'm going to see. And as you said, it's your brother down there or your cousin?
No, it's a cousin.
So would he be, is the son of Mr. Innerst?
I'm thinking he was just born in that year.
Okay.
But he's the one that owns the farm and does all the farming.
Gotcha. Okay. So the son of Mr. Innerst, would that be him? Is that who he was talking
No,
about?
that
Okay.
would be his son. In other
Okay.
words, his dad
Gotcha.
would have been the one. His dad and my oldest brother,
Okay.
which would be 80 some years old by now.
Okay. Is he still with us?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
He could have gave you a better bird's eye view because he was very close to it.
Yeah, right. So you said they were down in the barn down there when this
Right,
happened.
they were in the barn getting ready to milk the cows because at that time you brought the cows in, they got in their own spot, and then you started milking them.
Jeez. The plane just falls out of the sky on them.
That messed things up for the day.
Well, Charlie, thank you so much. It was great meeting you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. So here it is. This is the location where that C-123 crashed out here. So that's not the house that Mr. Innerst in the newspapers was talking about. The plane narrowly missed. Apparently, he lived in that farmhouse over there, the red farmhouse. The plane came in from this side and crashed straight into this field right here. Mr. Innerst was actually working in the barn here. Unfortunately, Mr. Innerst is gone, and so is his son that he spoke about in the farmhouse. He has passed since. I'm gonna try to reproduce the exact location where the plane went down. Unfortunately, it looks like it's all swampland from the recent rains we had, so I should have brought my boots. It also looks like Tick City out here. All right, this is pretty close to the angle that you can see in that newspaper on May 3rd, the next day, talking about this incident. But you can see the barn and the windows all still the same. You can't see in that newspaper article the actual house that Mr. Innerst was referring to. I thought it was that house originally, but it's not. That's where Charlie and his mother was at when he came out and saw this plane actually crash here. But This is the pretty much the area where that plane would have went down, and you can see in a newspaper article everybody's standing around it while it's on fire and the debris and everything. So Mr. Smeltzer, just north of here in Dallastown, I found 2 houses up there that he would have lived at somewhere around that time. He said he was out in his yard when he saw this C-123 plane circling around York City. He said he then saw this thing do 3 loops and the engine cutting on and off during those loops. Mr. Innerst ran out and said he saw the plane miss his house by approximately 30 feet above it. He said it seemed like the pilot was actually attempting to miss his house by pulling up and attempting to kick the engines on briefly, but then he realized the plane was coming right for him. So he ran out of the way and saw this plane crash right into the ground here. But the newspaper article said that there were people coming around from all over collecting pieces of the debris here, and the government was asking that they give any pieces back so they can try to piece together what happened here. For 11 days, they brought in the Civil Air Patrol and continued to search for any missing pieces around this area. The article says that the tail section was found to the east slightly, which would make sense if the plane was coming in from this direction. I was trying to figure that out when I thought it came from that direction and missed that house, but that's the house that the plane missed. I mean, it's a nice sized field. It seems like the pilot was actually trying to crash land that thing. Right here is the house where Mr. Ernest's family, his wife and kid, were at when that plane barely missed it by 30 feet. Someone commented on the short video I did about this, asking if this is the same plane that was into the rear of a park or something in the area. So I'm not sure about any plane, any park, so I'm gonna see if I can try to find that out.
A mile, turn right to stay on Pennsylvania 2.
Somebody said it was near the Dallastown High School, which is just across the way. It looks like there's some type of track meet going on over there. You can hear that going on. It's pretty cool. Brings back memories of high school. Somebody else said that it was actually in Lions Park. So I'm in Lions Park. I'm not seeing a plane. I just asked a younger resident back there, and he doesn't remember ever seeing a plane here. So I don't know. We'll check it out, see if there's something hidden in the woods maybe. Yeah, it's a pretty nice park here. I didn't even know this was here. Trails and everything, but I don't think there's any plane here hidden in the woods, so it must have been something that was out there back in the day and they removed it for whatever reason. It's kind of sad they removed it. They actually had a plane in this park. You know, some of the VFWs have tanks and things like that. It's rare that you actually see a plane, at least in my experience.